Hi, I'm Adam Mulholland from the AM Podcast Network. I'm doing another video to talk about cover art, or album art, depending on what you want to call it. I know it's all digital media, but you still need some kind of art. People are looking for it, and it helps you stand out a little bit. That's why Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, Smashing Pumpkins, and pretty much every other music band or group or even solo act has always had cover art. You should too. But making cover art is not as easy as it sounds. A lot of people think, well, I'll just go ahead and throw something down in a square and that'll represent me. I'm a professional graphic designer, and I can tell you that it takes me quite a while to come up with something original, something that stands out, and something that fits the podcast just right. I've created several. You can look at my website, you can look at the podcast network, and you'll see some of the examples that I've done. It's not that hard for me because I have several years behind me. But for somebody just starting out, it could be quite an endeavor. So, think about what you're going to need to do. And that's one, get software. Then, you're going to have an idea and figure out what you want to do with it. You need something that's going to match your project. Now, one of the first things that I do is I try to figure out my colors. Because I probably already have the name of the podcast. So I want to go ahead and move on to my color selection. Now, I have a lot of different websites that I can go to and look for different color combinations and kind of see what fits my project. The other thing I have is this cool little book. It's called My Color Index. I picked it up, I think, a long time ago at maybe Barnes & Noble, I want to say. Anyway, it has all kinds of different color palettes and everything else. And if I'm ever blocked, I just go right to my little book and I try to get ideas. But there's lots of websites out there too that will do the same thing. I don't want you to go and blow $20, $25 on a book you might only use once. The other thing I do is I try to organize different things such as photographs, maybe different clip art segments that I want to use, and I try to just see what works and what doesn't by just playing. So I use Adobe Fireworks for a lot of my projects because it does vector and it does raster art. Now, I won't get into that in this video. You can easily Google that and figure out, what each of them are. For the most part, on album cover art, I use a pretty much a mix. So one's not better than the other. As long as it's 1400 by 1400 pixels, I'm in the zone. For you, you may not even be the person that wants to create their own album cover. Maybe you just have some ideas, but you don't really have the skills. In this case, I highly suggest that you look for a freelancer. Most freelancers will do some basic cover art for next to nothing. I would start with Fiverr.com and see if they have something. Fiverr will be able to give you a whole bunch of choices for $5 for the project. Now that is huge. If you can find something that fits your tone for $5, you've made out like a bandit. Because a lot of times, a good designer will charge a nice premium for their artwork. And that's fine. I mean, usually it's definitely worth it. You want to make sure that you take your time. A rush job is going to make your podcast look terrible. And you don't want to look terrible. You want to look great. You want to sound great. And you want to build your subscribers fast. Artwork is part of leg, but it's definitely not your brand. I'm going to talk about logos separately in a whole different video. A lot of podcasts don't need logos, but you may be the type of person that's also building a website, a Facebook page, Google Plus page, Tumblr account, whatever your project is, you very well could use a logo as well. So I want to focus on the album art, and I want you to do something that is really great for your project. I want you to take time. I want you to look at thousands of examples on SoundCloud, on iTunes Store, Hey, just go to a music store. I mean, they got thousands and probably tens of thousands of CD art just laying around. Check it out. Go online. See what kind of fits you. If you're doing something maybe on fitness, maybe you need some gym pictures. Maybe you need somebody sweating to the oldies on the front. I don't really know. But you have options. So go out there and take a look. See what fits. And then if you want to use a freelancer to do your album cover, by all means, go and find somebody with a great portfolio, send them all your ideas. Try to dress it out as complete as you can because they need to know the expectations of what you want in your project. Without it, you're probably not going to get anywhere close to what you need for your podcast. So take your time, be concise, and get a great project right the first time. Hopefully that will get you in the area. I've also written a pretty good post. I will edit it as needed, but take a look, read through it, and if you still have questions or anything, leave some comments, and I'll try to answer them as quickly as I can. Make sure you also check me out at AM Podcast Network. So until then, I'm Adam.